2019 bar exam question: distinguish the following writ of kalikasan from your writ of continuing mandamus. What is the reason why is your bar examiner asking you to compare these two? Because again, your writ of kalikasan and your writ of continuing mandamus are the two mentioned special civil actions in your rule of procedure for environmental cases. We are done discussing the writ of kalikasan. Just go to the playlist, and in this video, what we are going to discuss is your writ of continuing mandamus. Let us now compare your writ of kalikasan from your writ of continuing mandamus. We discussed already the writ of kalikasan. Just go to the playlist. So the first step is your petitioner should file a verified petition, after which the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court will issue or will give an order issuing the writ. After this, the respondent should file his verified return. And after the return is filed, the court now will set the case for hearing. Take note that the hearing may include the calling of a preliminary conference. After the hearing, the case will be submitted for decision, but take note that the court may require the parties to submit their respective memorandum. After the filing of the memorandum, if that is required, then the court will issue a decision or a judgment. How about in your writ of continuing mandamus? The same din ba ang procedure? Let's find out. So in your writ of continuing mandamus, the first step is that the petitioner will file a verified petition. Again you have a petitioner because your writ of continuing mandamus is a special civil action. So after the filing of the verified petition, what will happen next? RTC, the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court, will give an order issuing the writ, and then the respondent will file his comment. After the comment is filed, the court now may conduct a summary hearing or require the parties to submit memorandum. Again, take note, it's either a summary hearing or submission of memorandum. Next, the case will be or the petition will be submitted for resolution, and the court will render a judgment or a decision. So kung nabibilisan kayo sa procedure sa writ of kalikasan, mas mabilis dito sa writ of continuing mandamus. Who is your petitioner in your writ of kalikasan? Answer can be found in your section 1 of your Rule 7, either the natural or juridical person, entity authorized by law, the people's organization, NGO, or any public interest group, as long as this people's organization, NGO, or any public interest group is accredited or registered with any government agency, and they are filing the writ of kalikasan on behalf of persons whose right to a balanced and healthful ecology is violated or threatened with violation. How about in your writ of continuing mandamus? Who is your petitioner? Answer can be found in Section 1, Rule 8. Your petition for continuing mandamus may be filed by the person aggrieved thereby. So take note that your petitioner in your writ of continuing mandamus is only the one who is personally aggrieved by the unlawful act or omission. Who is your respondent in your writ of kalikasan? Section 1 again has the answer. If there is an unlawful act or omission of a public official or employee or a private individual or entity, then you can file a writ of kalikasan against these persons. So your respondent is either a public person or a private person. How about in your writ of continuing mandamus? You can file your writ of continuing mandamus against any government agency or government instrumentality or government officer, as long as these people or agencies unlawfully neglects the performance of an act which the law specifically enjoins as a duty. Kaya in your writ of continuing mandamus, unlike your writ of kalikasan, this is confined, your respondent is confined only to government agencies, government instrumentalities, or government officers. Hindi kasama ang private individual or entity. Because again, this is a mandamus. Mandamus similar to your Rule 65. The problem lang here in your continuing mandamus is it relates to an environmental case. Where can you file your writ of kalikasan? Sino ang may jurisdiction? Answer is Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court. Basis, Section 3 of your Rule 7, your petition for writ of kalikasan shall be filed with the Supreme Court or any of the stations of the Court of Appeals. How about your writ of continuing mandamus? Sino ang may jurisdiction? Answer is RTC or the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court. Basis, you read your Section 3 of your Rule 8, the petition shall be filed with the RTC as long as that RTC is exercising jurisdiction over the territory where the actionable neglect or omission occurred. Tandaan nyo to ha, tandaan nyo to kasi tinatanong nyo to sa bar exams. Or your writ of continuing mandamus can be filed in the Court of Appeals or in the Supreme Court. So, tatlong korte ang pwedeng magkaroon ng jurisdiction sa writ of continuing mandamus. In your writ of kalikasan, the petitioner is exempted from the payment of docket fees. Take note that that is also true when you talk about writ of continuing mandamus. Petitioner is also exempted from the payment of docket fees. So, walang pagkakaiba pagdating sa docket fees. In your writ of kalikasan, after the filing of the verified petition, what will happen next? We said that the court shall give an order issuing the writ and requiring the respondent to file a verified return. And when the respondent files his verified return, he only has 10 days. And that 10 days is not extendable. He has a non-extendable period of 10 days to file his verified return. How about in your writ of continuing mandamus? After the filing of the verified petition, what will happen next? If the petition is sufficient in form and substance, then the court now will issue a writ. The court will issue the writ, after which the respondent will file his comment, and the period to file the comment is 10 days from the receipt of the copy. Again, in that writ issued by the court, it will require the respondent to comment on the petition within 10 days from the receipt of a copy thereof. So after the comment is filed, what will happen next? The court may hear the case, which shall be summary in nature, or require the parties to submit memoranda. Again ha, that is or. The court may conduct a summary hearing or require the parties to submit the respective memorandum. What will happen next? The petition will now be submitted for resolution, and the court should render a judgment, and the period given to the court to resolve the petition is within 60 days from the date of the submission of the petition for resolution. So when the court issues a judgment, dalawa lang yan. It is a decision either denying the petition or granting the petition. And if it is a decision that grants the privilege of the writ of the continuing mandamus, then it will require the respondent to perform an act or series of acts until the judgment is fully satisfied. Take note ha, that itong mga parties, your respondent, the court, and the petitioner, they have responsibilities when the court now grants the privilege of the writ of continuing mandamus. The responsibility of the respondent is first to submit periodic reports detailing the progress and execution of the judgment. And these periodic reports will be contained in the partial returns of the writ. How about the court? What is his responsibility? The court, acting by itself or through a commissioner or any appropriate government agency, has the duty to evaluate and monitor compliance of the respondent. How about your petitioner? Ano naman ang kanyang gagawin? He should submit its comments or observations on the execution of the judgment. Ito lang ba ang responsibility nila? Answer is no. Because if there is now a full satisfaction of the judgment, full satisfaction because again, this is a performance of a series of acts until the judgment is fully satisfied. Kaya nga, continuing mandamus. So if there is a full satisfaction of the judgment, the duty or the responsibility of the respondent is to make a final return of the writ to be submitted to the court. How about the court? What is his responsibility? If there is now a full satisfaction, then the satisfaction of the judgment shall be entered in the court docket. If there is a judgment granting the privilege of the writ of kalikasan, take note that the court cannot award damages to individual petitioners. Again, the court cannot award damages to individual petitioners. But there is a solution to this. Section 17 of your Rule 7 has the answer. Parties are not precluded in filing a separate civil action. So, pwede pa rin siyang maghabol ng damages as long as he will do it in a separate proceeding or in a separate action, but not in your writ of kalikasan. How about in your writ of continuing mandamus? Take note that aside from your prayer commanding the respondent to do an act or series of acts until the judgment is fully satisfied, you should also pray. The word used here is and. You should also pray for the payment of damages sustained by the petitioner by reason of the malicious neglect to perform the duties of the respondent under the law, rules, or regulations. So magkaiba talaga sila, si writ of kalikasan from your writ of continuing mandamus. If you read your Rule 8 is about the writ of continuing mandamus. You will not read there, or it does not contain any provision as to discovery measures. How about in your writ of kalikasan? You read Section 12 of your Rule 7. Any party, either the respondent or the petitioner, may file a verified motion for the issuance of ocular inspection order or production or inspection of documents or things order. The requirement lang ng Section 12, Rule 7 is that the motion must be able to show that these orders are necessary to establish the magnitude of the violation or to establish the magnitude of the threat as to prejudice the life, health, or property of inhabitants in 2 or more cities or provinces. If you will be asked to define the continuing mandamus, just take note that it is a writ issued by a court in an environmental case. And who is your respondent? Your respondent is the government agency or government instrumentality or government officer. And what is now the duty of that government officer, government agency, or government instrumentality? He will perform an act or series of acts decreed in the final judgment and which shall remain ineffective until the judgment is fully satisfied. So that is your continuing mandamus.